I'm willing to die for my children or to allow them to be in this kind of environment that I know they're in.
Music Northwest just delivered the greatest shock of all by acting like she doesn't have a father anymore. No interviews, no TikToks, no spectacular postings, just quiet. And that quiet is louder than anything Kanye West has ever ranted about. For the last year, the world has witnessed Kanye West fall from scandal to full-blown anarchy. From wearing a KKK, Ian's placed me in a hospital.
Have you worn this out in public?
Nah, the funny thing is I really wanted to wear it yesterday, but I thought they would put me in a hospital for my outfit.
To wandering around public streets with a half-naked wife, to now releasing a song where he brutally details a horrific childhood sexual contact with his male relative. Even Kanye's most faithful admirers are pulling away. But the one person whose reply says everything? His daughter North. She used to be at his side, front row at fashion shows, dancing to his music, proudly wearing his goods, but suddenly, she's gone silent. No more performances, no more appearances, no more daddy's little girl. So what does it imply for North? How does a 10-year-old digest witnessing her dad become the internet's favorite breakdown in real time? Let's speak about how Kanye may have lost the one thing he couldn't afford to lose: his daughter's trust. Kanye West has always pushed the edge with his music, but his new single, Cousins, could be the most uncomfortable and emotionally weighty piece he's ever released. The song isn't only about edgy lyrics or shock value. It digs into a personal narrative that left many fans surprised, concerned, and confused of how to even respond. The sound is dirty and experimental, the imagery frightening, and the lyrics bite deep. But what truly took everyone off surprise is the subject matter. Kanye appears to be referring about something that supposedly occurred between him and a cousin during their youth, and he found some adult publications, graphic ones, while he was only a youngster. He claims they belonged to his mother, Donda West. After that finding, he claimed he presented the mags to his cousin, and things took a bad turn. While we won't presented the mags to his cousin, and things took a terrible turn, while we won't repeat the most explicit lyric here, Kanye portrays an incident that no kid should ever witness or be part of. What's unsettling isn't just what's said, but how it's delivered. The tone of the music is almost infantile, like a twisted lullaby combined with glitchy video game-style images and fading, dreamy cinematography. It produces a feeling of perplexity. Was this a plea for aid, a confession, a recollection, or something else entirely? And what's even more stunning is that this cousin, Kanye adds, is the same one who's currently serving a double life sentence for a murder he committed as a teenager. This isn't the first time Kanye's acknowledged his relative. In a 2018 interview on Jimmy Kimmel Live, he briefly commented about it, stating, "My cousin is locked away for murder, and I adore him." Then, in 2020, his ex-wife, Kim Kardashian, also brought up this same relative during her criminal justice reform documentary, The Justice Project.
Kanye's aunt, my husband's aunt, his cousin has a double life sentence for a murder that he committed when he was 17.
These earlier references looked odd at the time, quiet nods to a family member in peril. But now, looking back with this new song in mind, it seems like Kanye could have been building up to something he hadn't been ready to speak about previously. Cousins feels like an effort to finally speak about a horrible childhood situation that, until now, he'd never explicitly addressed in his songs. Fans are having a hard time absorbing it. Some say Kanye is attempting to be vulnerable and honest. Others felt he crossed a line, turning something really delicate into a piece of performance art that doesn't quite sit right. This is a new low for Kanye. He is truly the worst rotten individual, one person said. Why do y'all presume he's lying? Given how wild Kanye is and his unpredictable behavior and his addiction to S, this isn't inconceivable. Plus, there are tons of cocksuck scenarios in families that are never talked about. Kanye being S-aid would explain a lot of his actions, TBH. He's sexually deviant due of his early habits and harmful relationships with S. A second source remarked, "For most people, becoming the center of a huge controversy would spell the end of their career. But when it comes to Kanye West, controversy seems to follow him like a shadow, and nevertheless he continues going. Whether it's something he says in an interview, a viral clip, or a tweet that provokes outrage, Kanye has earned a reputation for stirring the pot. But as the world observes and responds, there's one guy who's unusually silent through it all: the daughter, North West. North is only 10 years old, but in today's digital age, that's old enough to grasp what's going on. She's on TikTok. In today's digital world, that's old enough to know what's going on. She's on TikTok, she has access to the internet, and you can guarantee she hears stuff at school. Her pals could bring it up, or maybe she's simply browsing and sees her dad's name trending for the wrong reasons. Again, imagine being that young and having to witness your parents' most humiliating or contentious moments become public talk. That's a huge weight to bear. When North was little, she went everywhere with Kanye. They were somewhat of a duet. He took her to lavish fashion events, let her be in the studio while he worked on songs, and even dressed in matching ensembles with her. There was a feeling of pride and affection that Kanye showed the public when it came to his kid. Fans liked witnessing their closeness. It was one of the gentler aspects of Ye, but now things have changed. We don't see North with her dad as often anymore. She doesn't appear in public with him, and when she does, the vibe is different. She still appears like a lovely child, but that shine she used to have when she was part of Kanye's world, it's not really there anymore. People close to the family have indicated that North is discreetly distancing herself from Kanye's public action. She's not making a huge statement or raising trouble, but she's stepping back. And honestly, who could blame her? When your dad is continually in the spotlight for all the wrong reasons, it's only natural to desire some distance. Yet it appears her father's pranks go beyond questionable music. In March 2025, Kanye appeared in a DJ Academics interview wearing what seemed like a black version of a Ku Klux Klan robe. Yes, he adapted the most prominent hate sign in American history and wore it on video.
Kanye went from, wanting to be white to now wanting to be a white supremacist. And I just need everybody out there to know there's nothing pro-black about anything Kanye West does. He embraces everything that has historically hurt black people.
And I just need everyone out there to know there is nothing pro-black about whatever Kanye West does. He accepts everything that has traditionally mistreated black people. This wasn't some figurative comment about race or history. It was performance art, maybe, but at what cost? How do you explain this to a child? How does North explain her classmates why her dad looked like the KKK? This isn't artistic expression, it's trauma in real time, aired and marketed. And just when you think things couldn't get more problematic for North, come Bianca Sensori. Kanye's new wife, or partner depending on what day it is model and architect Bianca Sensori. From the outset, their relationship has been under a scrutiny, not because of who she is personally, but because of how they display themselves to the public. To put it clearly, Bianca's ensembles create headlines every single time she goes outdoors. And it's not because they're high fashion, it's because there's scarcely any cloth involved. Think transparent tights with no bottoms. Think glass cages in the heart of public settings. Think see-through outfits worn to dinner in cities full with cameras and people. It's performance art for them. But for North, it's something else completely. Imagine seeing your dad strolling through a public airport with his wife next to him, virtually nude. That's not simply uncomfortable. It's nightmare fodder for a youngster growing up in the era of social media. She knows others are watching, she knows her buddies could see it, and she obviously knows others are talking about it. How can you explain to your classmates that your dad's wife comes up to dinner half-dressed and it's just another Tuesday? Even Kim Kardashian, who is no stranger to public criticism when it comes to fashion, was allegedly quite offended. Insiders claim she was profoundly troubled and terribly worried about how all of this was hurting the kids.
It sucks, when someone doesn't see how different they are.
But you keep looking for that person.
I always will. You'll always, hope that you'll see a glimpse of them. And, I hope I do.
And, I hope I do. But as stunning as Kanye's public performances had been, his goals behind the scenes appeared to go much farther. His interest in pornographic stuff wasn't merely a passing phase or attention grab. Back in 2023, he unveiled ambitions to build a portal he termed Ye Porn. According to Kanye, it was designed to disrupt the adult business. He stated it would transform how people watched pornographic material and how producers connected with their fans. The news took many people off surprise, particularly those who knew his past position on pornography. Just a few years before that, Kanye had spoken out forcefully against P and its impact. He regarded it as a negative force in his life, calling it an instrument of evil. He even slammed networks like TikTok, stating they were exposing minors to hazardous adult material. Now that piece is pushed via TikTok. That segment is subverted and sort of blended with the alcohol inside of songs meant for youngsters. At the time, he positioned himself as a guy seeking to safeguard innocence, particularly that of his own children. So what changed? By 2025, Kanye seems to have abandoned that aim totally. Instead of preaching purity and protection, he had accepted the exact thing he once denounced. Not only was he promoting sexual material, but he was also reported to be actively making it, with his partner Bianca Sensori no less. Now, picture being Northwest, witnessing her father flip from singing about God and purity to boasts about developing an adult entertainment empire. The uncertainty, the shame, and the emotional toll must have been tremendous. At this time, most people can understand that what's happening with Kanye isn't just about a single headline, one outfit, or one out-of-pocket interview. It's part of a much wider picture, a pattern that's been growing over the years. Some could call it a downward spiral. Others could argue it's a public unraveling. But anyway, his behaviors have gotten more unexpected and more frightening with each passing year. And smack in the heart of it all, his kids, especially North. Ever since Kanye began making headlines for political rants, anti-Semitist sentiments, weird fashion choices, and now these unnerving revelations about childhood trauma, the tone surrounding him has transformed. People used to laud his intellect. They used to think he was ahead of his time, simply misunderstood. But now the discourse has morphed into something far worse. Now it's not about creative freedom. It's about whether he's stable, if he's well, and whether he's harming more than just himself. While spectators see this all develop, it's easy to forget that there's a young girl behind the scenes, simply trying to cling on to some sort of regular life. So far, Northwest hasn't said a word publicly about any of this. But her silence says more than words ever could. She doesn't upload dancing to her dad's music anymore. She seldom shows up at public events with him. It's as if she's gently moving back, creating space and developing a world of her own, distant from the tornado that surrounds Ye. Some people say Kanye is simply being honest, upfront and truthful, while others fear he's crossing a line, turning pain into a sort of entertainment, and bringing those closest to him down in the process. At what point does it stop being simply Kanye being Kanye and start being a serious problem? But Kanye has always lived in extremes, but sometimes those excesses may drive the ones you love the most away. As of yet, neither Kanye nor North has addressed the consequences from Cousins, but maybe, for North, quiet is her only kind of safety. Anyway, that's all for this video, guys. Bye!